Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us here on KTN Friday Briefing. It's a great pleasure having your company tonight, this 13th day of May 2016. I trust that you've had a great day. If not, in the next 1.5 hours, I will personally try to make it better. My name is Betty Kialo, and of course we have round-the-clock coverage of what has been taking place here in the country and beyond. But also, apart from that, we have our unrivaled segments of the guest anchor and Mind Your Language. We have Willis Ocheng, who's standing by in Kisumu County to teach us how to pronounce some certain English words. Well, apart from that, our guest anchor is very, very interesting. Let me introduce her, former Judiciary Chief Registrar, Karibu Sana, Gladys Boss Shollei. It's great to see you. Looking lovely.
Thank you.
Say hi to the viewers.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Good evening, viewers.
Now, the look is really interesting. So it's definitely Friday.
Yeah.
But we're so used to seeing you in the, very formal suits. Is this the other side of Gladys that we
This
don't
is
know
how
about?
I dress when I'm no longer wearing suits.
You're no longer wearing suits.
Yes.
This is how it is. So there's something about this name that everybody keeps asking about, Boss. Is it a nickname? Is it your real name? What's up with that name?
It's my maiden name.
Wow.
Yeah,
I wish
my father's name.
I wish I had such a name. You just say it and it commands, a lot of respect. Nice to have you. We will be talking to her about so many things. Of course, where she has been. A little birdie said that she could be, seeking political office. I don't know how true that is. Maybe a hint.
You'll ask me.
All right. Well, I'll ask her. So you can tweet me all the questions that you want us to talk about, something that you want me to put across to her. The hashtag to use, of course, is Friday Briefing, or you can tweet me directly at Betty M. Kialo, and I will be taking a look at your questions as soon as we sit down with Gladys to, of course, have that chit-chat. But for now, though, let's begin the show with the highlights. Have a seat.
Anybody who is interested in justice and they have whatever information they have, they should be patriotic enough to take it to the investigative authorities so that justice can be done.
Naibu wa Rais anasema atashtaki Jirongo. Ungeenda jana kutaki Jirongo.
Raila dares Ruto over Jirongo's comments as Jacob Juma's body arrives in Bungoma. Man hanging on Jacob Juma's helicopter drops nearly to his death in Bungoma.
The government will work with WADA to protect honest, clean athletes and the integrity of our sports.
Hope for Olympics team as Uhuru sends a strong delegation to Canada to sort out anti-doping mess. And spectacle in Kitui as man accused of stealing begins eating grass.
Well, as you can see, we have quite a packed bulletin on Friday Briefing today. Our sign and language interpreter is William Silla. Now, a middle-aged man in Bungoma County is fighting for his life after dropping from the chopper carrying the body of slain businessman Jacob Juma. Now, the man had decided to hang on to the helicopter as it took off from the ground in attempts to force the pilot to stay on the ground. And as KTN's Duncan Haimba reports, it was a day that saw yet another war of words erupt between court leaders and Deputy President William Ruto over Jacob Juma.
This is the unbelievable chopper drama that unfolded in Bungoma town Friday shortly after 4 p.m. A middle-aged man who opted to dare the devil by clinging on this chopper that had flown the body of slain businessman Jacob Juma to his Bungoma hometown. He is said to have clung onto the chopper in an attempt to force the pilot to allow residents to view the body. But when the chopper took off, he also took off from Bungoma's poster grounds to the nearby Bungoma airstrip, about 3 kilometers away. Here he dropped off as the pilot prepared to land and get him off. Apparently, they were 3 men, but two of his partners in crime had dropped off immediately the chopper took off, leaving him alone. A village hero in quotes, who is now fighting for his dear life at the Bungoma County Referral Hospital after sustaining serious injuries. And it appears controversy that surrounded the slain businessman his entire life could be following him to his grave. Before his body was airlifted to Western, his widow Miriam Juma addressed the media at their current home, demanding nothing short of satisfactory answers from the government.
We wish to ask the Minister for Security, Hon Kaiseri, and the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Boynet, to provide us with the following. Number one, the CCTV footage of Jacob's car tracked to Gong Road on the night of Thursday, May the 5th.
She also wants Kenya Police to seek help of FBI and Scotland Yard detectives in investigating his killing.
Number two, the mobile telephone data detailing the various mobile operator locator masts Jacob's phone traveled through on the night of May 5th and morning of May 6th.
Meanwhile, Deputy President William Ruto has called on anyone with information regarding Juma's killing to share with investigation agencies to ensure his assassins are brought to book, as he blasted the opposition leaders whom he accused of using his death to drive a political agenda.
It is evil for anybody to use the death of any Kenyan to try and run a political narrative. It is primitive, it is backward, it has no place in the Kenya of today.
Naibu wa rais anasema atashtaki Jirongo. Ungeenda jana kushtaki Jirongo. Mbona hukushtaki Juma wakati Juma mwenyewe aliandika kwenye nini yake Facebook yake ate fulani na fulani ndio wanapanga kuniua. Na mimi najua mkutano ulifanywa na najua wale walikuwa kwenye mkutano. Bwana hakusema chochote.
Aliandika kwa tweet yake, aandika kwa wall yake, akaweka kwa Facebook, akasema fulani na fulani na fulani wananiwinda. Ambia Inspector General aanzie na wao. Awachane na Weta. Na Weta si mtu wa kutishwa. Hiyo haiwezekani.
Jacob Juma will be laid to rest on Saturday at his Bumula home in Bungoma County. Duncan Hemba, KTN News.
Well, evidently a lot took place in Bungoma today. And of course, one of the biggest conversations right now ongoing, especially on social media, is that man who is now called the Bungoma James Bond. And we'd like to hear your thoughts on what he was trying to do, of course, when he was up on that chopper, on that helicopter. We'd like to hear your comments and, of course, on the actions of the Bungoma James Bond. I can see quite a number of reactions coming online. Ibrahim Were says, we were surprised to see the guy still on the chopper, even when the pilot tried to land to allow him to jump. Daniel Mutua says, dreams do come true. The man at least enjoyed the feeling of a plane taking off. We'd like to hear more of your thoughts. Do tweet me, Betty M. Kialo, or you can also use the hashtag Friday Briefing, or do text in 22155, and we'll be taking a look at your responses. Now, moving on, Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta has sent Sports Cabinet Secretary Hassan Wario and Amina Mohamed of Foreign Affairs to Canada to iron out contentious issues threatening to derail Kenya's participation in the Olympics. Now, reports from IAAF indicate that Kenya will not be banned but will remain in the watch list of WADA over non-compliance. KTN Sports Editor Hassan Juma reports.
About 3 weeks after President Uhuru Kenyatta appended his signature to the new doping law that was expected to usher in a new dawn in the fight against doping, it's back to the drawing board after the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, through its president Craig Rede, trashed the pieces of legislation that were passed by Parliament, terming them inconsistent with what was agreed by WADA.
We had agreement with Kenya and the authorities on the legislation that we wished them to put through Parliament. And during the parliamentary process, there were changes, and some of those changes mean that the current state of the law is not compliant with the code.
Amendments took place which started to make the law that was passed in Parliament not in line with the other rules and creating inconsistency between the various texts.
And with the Rio Games fast approaching, the government has embarked on shuttle diplomacy to appease the WADA bosses. Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed and her sports counterpart Hassan Wariu have the daunting task of making sure Kenya's international athletics image remains intact.
The government has sought an urgent meeting with WADA to review the few remaining areas of concern and secure a review of its decision. 2, the government will work with WADA to protect honest, clean athletes and the integrity of our sports.
Deputy President William Ruto weighed in on the matter as he assured the country that Kenya will participate in the Olympics despite the current impasse.
You cannot have Olympics without the participation of the Kenyan athletes. You cannot have the World Championships without the participation of the Kenyan athletes, because it will not be the same. It will be a pale shadow of what Olympics is supposed to be, because it is Kenyans who make the Olympics what it is.
Despite the non-compliance tag hanging on Kenya, reports from the IAAF indicate that the Federation is not planning to ban the country but will put it on its watch list, an assertion that was shared by the WADA bosses in Montreal.
It is not a proper policy for a world agency to have one of its major countries non-compliant. We hope that they become compliant as quickly as possible so that their athletes will take part in the proper spirit in the Olympic Games.
Kenya, together with Ethiopia and Russia, have been track and field giants for years. But doping allegations now threaten the gains made. Kenya first participated at the Olympic Games in 1956 and has sent athletes to compete in every Olympic Games since, except for the boycotted 1976 and 1980 Games, and missing out on the Rio Games would have serious repercussions in the sporting world. Hassan Juma, KTN News.
Now, the Kenyan Opposition Coalition on Reforms and Democracy Code says the government must show its commitment to electoral reforms and disbandment of the current electoral body ahead of the 2017 polls. Led by Senators James Orengo and Johnston Muthama, the opposition members said today they will mobilize supporters across the country and hold the mother of all demonstrations Monday next week.
We don't want to be told that there's going to be dialogue and a meeting of leaders without a framework for that meeting and without a real commitment to sending this commission home. For example, one of the ways to begin this dialogue is by the government saying, yes, we also want this commission to go, just like Moi did during the IPPG. This constitution requires a commission that is ready anytime. And the timeline in the constitution is normally when there's any seat vacant. And there could be 100 seats at the same time. The law is that those seats must be filled within 90 days. Because you may have a situation where the whole opposition, walks out of parliament. Will they be talking about timelines? These timelines come about because Kriegler knew that the systems that we had in place and the people who are manning those systems or occupying those important positions were people who could not be relied upon. For example, there is registration of voters and the issue of issuance of identity cards. They're being done in a way that already one can sense that any coming elections is already rigged.
These people must go. And we are not looking backwards on this issue. We stand going forward by saying every Kenyan, even Jubilee leaders, a good number of them, including the legal committee of the National Assembly, they have stood and up and they have said IEBC must go. So our message today is that the demonstrations are not just to take place in Nairobi now, but in the 47 counties of the Republic of Kenya.
Now, the search for a third-year Moi University student who was kidnapped 3 days ago while on vacation in Mombasa is yet to bear fruit. 21-year-old Evans Othiambo Odoyo was kidnapped in broad daylight by 3 men who dragged him into their vehicle and sped off. And his family is now making frantic efforts to locate CCTV footage of the kidnapping. Francis Antoma reports.
Othiambo was approached by 3 men outside this apartment. Little suggests that a plan was being hatched to take him away and never to be seen again. The 21-year-old innocently complied with a request to follow the men to their vehicle. But on reaching the vehicle, it became clear to him that this was no ordinary call.
Saa 7:45, there's a black car which came in. 3 men came out, and the boy was standing outside. This man came and took the boy inside the car, and the car drove off to Mamangina Drive.
Ali Salim was on duty at the apartment where he works as a cleaner, and on witnessing the happening, he raised the alarm, only that it came a bit too late to block the kidnappers.
Sasa nikaona kijana kwa vile ninamjua, time zote huwa anakuja hapa, nikamwona pale kwenye parking, hiyo parking iko pale. Sasa nikamwona hapo yuashikwa na jamaa watatu.
Reports say CCTV cameras may have captured the occurrence, giving a breakdown of the incident, but police are yet to give substantive details into the disappearance. The kidnappers are said to have sped off towards the popular Mamangina Drive, passing through the road leading to Mombasa State Lodge.
Pale awafika kwenye gari pale, sasa mmoja si alikimbia, mimi nikakimbia mbio kumwita mama.
Evans, a third-year Bachelor of Science Entrepreneurship student at the Moi University Eldoret, was on a 1-week vacation and was ready to go back to school. His relatives say they were not aware of any confrontation between him and anyone, and this disappearance had left them in a quandary.
Whoever has seen him, kindly report to the police, and there'll be a reward of 100,000 to anybody who will have got the information of wherever the boy is.
Human rights defenders in Mombasa are now calling for drastic action to end the trend.
Huko sehemu za Mamangina kuanzia tunaweza pata kwa tayari kuna magari imekuwa park pale kuanzia saa 1 mpaka jioni. Hata kama ni kazi kwenye wenye wanakaa Mamangina. From morning mpaka evening watu wamekaa na wako tu ndani ya magari. Inatakana serikali iangalie kwa makini kwa maana unapata kuwa tayari ukora yote inafanywa huku chini ya Mamangina.
In the past, some areas of the coast have registered several cases of disappearance of youths. Areas such as Majengo in Mombasa, Ukunda and Tiwi in Kwale registered high numbers at the height of the fight against terrorism. Francis Ontomwa, KTN News, Mombasa.
Now, the residents of Katiatoka village in Kitui County today were treated to a rare spectacle when a middle-aged man suspected of stealing money from his employer turned herbivorous and started eating grass. Now, it took the intervention of police to disperse a growing crowd who had been drawn to see the bizarre man.
A growing crowd gathers at the Kavioka market. The center of attraction is this man who has been amusing his taste buds since 9 a.m. Friday morning. At the losing end of this bizarre human versus plant festival are these leaves at a nearby thicket that has seen the man down 5 branches already. His predicament precipitated by an alleged act of embezzlement.
Alifanya kazi kwa mzee mwingine anaitwa Meo na akachukua pesa yake 4,000 na akuchukua akaulizwa pesa ziko wapi akasema hajui na huyo mzee akamwambia aende na kaenda.
The residents here insist that the man's employer had issued a warning to whoever had stolen his 4,000 shillings and promised that they would pay dearly.
Hii nyasi ya kula ni sababu ya kuchukua vitu za watu. Na hii ni makosa, tena tunashukuru sana. Kufanya vitu vingine. Tena hii ni funzo kwa wengine hata jaribu kufanya namna hii.
The residents spent the better part of 2 hours fueling the man's weird hunger by handing him tree leaves before the police arrived to take him in for questioning. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
Okay, to Uganda now. It is not only the media that is feeling the heat from the executive. Dr. Kizza Besigye, who swore himself in on Wednesday, has now been charged with treason. Our reporter in Kigali, Eugene Nangwe, caught up with Besigye's wife, Winnie Byanyima, who is also the executive director of OFAM. Here is a portion of that chat with her.
The action that was taken a few days ago by Dr. Besigye to, swear himself in as president, you as the wife, I mean, in terms of advising, I mean, did you know about this plan, and were you, in support of this, and what is your reaction to that particular action?
I'm not in the decision-making of the party. I'm a founder of the party with him. When it was founded, I was still a politician in Uganda. Right. But I stood out and went into international development. And I maintained that line carefully. So I also learned about the decision for the party to swear him in. Like other party members, I actually picked it up through social media. And I can see its impact. I can see why the party decided to do that, and I can see the impact it is having. And I support him, but I don't shape the policies and the decisions of the party, no.
Now let's talk about you and family. I mean, how do you manage to deal with the current situations that are there? Because most of us also know you are the wife of Dr. Kizza Besigye, who has been through a lot of tough times when it comes to his political career and life. I mean, how is it like being the wife of Dr. Besigye, for example?
You ask a good question, because here I am. I'm now sitting in Kigali, attending World Economic Forum. He was arrested 2 days ago. He's being held in remote Moroto in Karamoja, near Turkana and South Sudan. They flew him there and they put him there. And I'm worried about him, but I'm still able to continue doing my work because at least I know he's safe, because the team has gone and seen him, eaten with him, and I know he's safe. If he wasn't safe, I would have stopped and gone to look for him. But we are able to cope. He copes, I cope, because we are activists, because we believe in causes. And the cause that we have committed ourselves to for so many years is a cause we are ready to die for. That gives you a different perspective on the challenges. When there's a threat to life, I will drop everything. But when it is this inconvenience, this harassment, this humiliation, we know that it is intended to break you down. So you don't break down. You carry on.
You move on with that activity.
That's what I mean. I'm a fighter.
Right.
And I learned this from childhood. My father was an opposition politician. He was opposing a government that was slowly became a dictatorship. He challenged. It reached a point when he was the only opposition leader in the whole of the south of Uganda. But he stood his ground. They would arrest him and he would come home and tell us, everybody will die. What matters is how you will die. If they kill me now, if they take me and kill me, I will have died an honorable man. And he told us not to fear, to be fearless in the face of injustice. That was my father. My mother too was a very bold activist who stood by him and who fought as a political activist and a women's rights activist. So I take it from the environment I grew up in. It was a resistance home, resisting dictatorship, resisting violation of human rights. That's what I knew. That's what I grew up in, and that's what I still do. So that's how we cope. It's painful. It is frightening. It is worrying. But you take it in your stride.
Wow, such powerful words there from Winnie. We want to take a short breather here on Friday Briefing, but of course we'd like to also have a review of a big question tonight. Of course, it's in regards to that video that is circulating all over the place of that man who held on to this helicopter that was carrying the body of slain businessman Jacob Juma, and so many comments, of course, coming across in regards to him putting his life, in danger. And right now he's earned himself the name the Bungoma James Bond. And so let me sample one or two messages here. Rogers Okelo says, the man was standing, please call me to God, but luckily he was not called. Bahati yake. Maramba Elvis says he should be jailed after he gets better. That was a suicide attempt and it is a crime here in Kenya. Kima Bwima says, when I grow up, I'll be a pilot. Almost he realized his dream. Well, thank you very much for those interesting comments to keep us warm on this cold Friday, the 13th night. We'll take that short breather, but of course, when we come back, we'll speak to Gladys Boss Shollei. So many questions I'm seeing coming through in regards to where she has been, political ambitions, and so much more. Keep them coming. Hashtag Friday Briefing, or you can also tweet me directly at Betty M. Kialo, and we'll be, of course, taking a look at that soon as we come back from this break. Do stay with us. And read the news. Are you excited about that? But you've done it before, just a bit of it.
Just a bit of it, but I've never been to these studios. They're beautiful.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so of course you know who has a hand in it. Yes. All right, so first of all, I think everybody's wondering, where have you been, since you exited the judiciary? What have you been doing? Have you taken up a new job, a new project? Yeah.
No, I've been around. But most importantly, I've had a lot of time on my hands, which means I've been able to travel around the country, go down to the grassroots level, speak to a lot of young people, meet them, have speaking engagements with them, but most importantly, find out their challenges, what direction they think our country is going, questions about the leadership, about unemployment and so on. So it's been exciting listening to them because it's also helping me formulate what I would like to do.
Okay.
Yeah, and where I can be able to be of use to them.
All right. Yes. So that sounds like a very indirect answer to a question that everybody is asking about, you taking up political office. Are we likely to see that come 2017?
I think so. A lot depends on the people at the grassroots level.
Right.
I'm holding consultations with them. And they're the ones really who will decide.
Yes,
so
yes.
I'm having a lot of consultations with them. We're having discussions about it. And once I have a well-formulated answer, I will be able to announce it in the affirmative. But definitely that's the direction I'm looking at.
Wow, for 2017?
Yes.
Okay, big congratulations. And what seat is that? Is it, because I've heard it could be the senatorial seat, and where?
Yeah. I mean, there's several seats that are optional available.
Right.
But I mean, like I said, it's the people on the ground that will make the decision. It's the electorate that will really do that. And those are some of the discussions we're having with the people that I have been meeting, and should be able to come up with an answer.
And is this something that you've always wanted to, or is it the career path that you've had in the last couple of years that has directed you to politics?
I think throughout in my life, I haven't really, every position I've held has almost come to me because something has happened and I've moved into it. So I've changed jobs several times and moved into a certain direction because something triggered me to do that. And I think this is typical of the pattern of my life. Something happens and you begin to question certain things that are happening and you tell yourself, I think I can help make a difference in this.
All right. And you've said that you've been at the grassroots level. But of course, in Kenya right now, there are people who still struggle with the idea of a woman being in leadership. And evidently, we saw this during the debate on, of course, the gender bill about a week ago. First of all, what is your feeling about the bill not being passed? And do you feel like Kenyans are really ready to have as many women take up leadership positions?
I was disappointed at the failing of the bill. But also, it was sort of expected because the mood wasn't right.
What do you mean the mood wasn't right?
I think many people haven't been explained to the reason for why we need to have this bill passed and why we need more women in positions of decision making. Whereas you find those who are against the bill had a very good narrative. They have a nice narrative that resonates with the people, and they are able to appeal to the people and almost make putting more women in position of leadership something that is trivial.
Right.
And I had this morning was with Honorable Moses Kuria, and he had an amazing narrative, and he put it so well, he almost convinced me. so I think...
What narrative is it?
I mean, they try to say that, the government is bloated, it's going to cost the taxpayer a lot of money, we should use the money for schools instead, and so on. And that's a valid point.
Right.
But the point is, that is not a solution in itself. And I realized that I think what the women have to do now is develop a narrative a counter-narrative that convinces people, because it can't just be that the government is going to be expensive just because we have more women in decision-making.
Right.
Because we're not having the same argument that we have 47 governors or we have 47 deputy governors. I mean, are we going to reduce them by half? Because no, it's a constitutional requirement. We need to explain to people that this is a constitutional requirement, and we must implement it until such time as we amend the Constitution.
Right.
But you cannot suspend a constitution just because you know, by just persuading people. And I think and to me, today for me was a very humbling experience, you know, listening, because I don't think I've listened to Moses Kuria one-on-one, but he's very convincing. So I think we have to also learn to become more convincing. Right. We have to explain to people, I agree, yes, government is bloated, but we can make savings elsewhere without sacrificing or marginalizing more than half our population.
But do you also think that women sometimes are, you know, their worst enemies? Because, you know, even in the time that, you know, it was brought to the floor of the House, there was still a number of women who were not there.
No, actually, the women who are missing, all women were there. The ones who are missing had very, very good reasons for them. Yes, I remember we went through every list, and all of them had a good reason, the ones who were missing from that place. Yes.
Now, listening to you, Gladys, so you come across as, you know, the Gladys that we see on TV, we saw, of course, during the last general elections, and, you know, very self-assured and very confident, and, of course, very many women in Kenya, you know, look up to you and say, okay, you know, you have something, of course, that is inspirational. Even with the fights that you've had, you know, the battles that we've seen you counter. Where does that come from? Is it something that you had to learn how to go about because of the situations you're put in, or is it something that you got from, you know, when you were younger?
I think I had a great foundation with my parents. Yeah, I have an amazing father who believes in girls and just made us know that we can be the greatest we could possibly be. And I had a mother who made sure that I was on the straight and narrow, because she was a no-nonsense mom. So I think I had a very great foundation with my parents, but also I've also been privileged to have the opportunity to hold certain positions.
Right.
I was working for the UN, I think when I was 23, you know, 24. So, I mean, I've been privileged that I've been in positions like that, which have actually helped me. Because with every position, you get more confidence. With every position, there is challenges, and every challenge actually makes you grow. And that's why I tell people, even this that I've gone through now has probably been the greatest learning that I have had in my life. I may never have another opportunity to be able to go through this learning. And I think it's also been great for my family, especially my children, because I think for what I've gone through, I think they're going to have a big head start because they've seen what I've gone through, and it's made them stronger and better people. And I think in a way we should take every challenge like that in our lives.
And we will be talking shortly about your family. I understand that you're a very strict mom. But before then, do you have any regrets with you know, what you went through, you know, being in the public eye, you know, so many people throwing stones at you at that time? Do you have any regrets of being that person, you know, the chief registrar at that time, and you know, the allegations that came across against you?
I think I don't have any regrets about it at all. I don't regret that I ever took the position. I think it was amazing that I did get into that position. I still learned a lot in that short time that I was there. I think the only thing I regret is I didn't see it. My biggest regret is that I had people within the office plotting against me and I didn't know about it. I think now I have a long antenna. It will never happen again. So I think that's my only regret, is I should have been less trusting.
Less trusting.
Yes, because I think I was too trusting.
All right. And also speaking about, you know, the office that you handled, you know, a few years back, you know, before you got that position of chief registrar, you actually had applied for deputy chief justice.
Yes.
Is that something that, you know, you would want to do in the future, just in case politics does not work out? Just in case, yeah.
I don't see myself going back there. You know, I think I probably have outgrown it. You know, so it's my life has gone into a different path. It's just like the way I started as a lawyer, and I thought I'd be a courtroom lawyer. Then before I knew it, I was actually in environmental law, working at the United Nations as an international waters consultant. Then before I knew it, I was at Kenya Law Reports, being a CEO and an assistant editor, something totally different that I'd never done. And then within no time, I was in electoral management, something I'd never done again in my life, and did it successfully. So I think for me, with each phase, I think I'm one of those people who something happens in my life and I will mutate and become, and go into another career.
Okay.
So I've never really, I've had several distinct, separate, different careers from what I actually went to school for.
All right.
Yes.
Going back to your family, I understand from my research and investigation that you're a really strict...
Have you been talking to my children?
I'm not going to tell you. We don't reveal our sources. So I understand that you're a really strict mom. Talk to us about your parenting, your way of parenting. Maybe it has something to do with how you were brought up, because your mom also was a disciplinarian.
Yes, yes.
So how are you as a mom at home? Because out here you look like a no nonsense person.
Yes,
but I can imagine at home. Is it the same thing?
Yeah. I think I'm quite different at home from what you see me in public.
Stricter,
at home with my kids are my friends. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, my kids will have a disco at our home, and I will be part of the disco. So, I mean, they are my friends. I am very good friends with all their friends. I know where they are at any one point. Now they're away overseas studying, and I'm able to keep in touch with them almost every day.
All right.
I know when they're going out for a party.
Oh,
I know when they're going to visit their friends.
You the truth.
Oh, they tell me the truth. Yes.
If they don't tell you the truth, you will
then we break ranks. So
okay.
I think they know that. So my children, we are very good friends with my children.
But how have you been able to do that?
And also very strict. I think when you tell the rules, like I know my kids would say when there are these parties in town, parents would tell me, your kids are not going? I said, they didn't even tell me about it. So I'd ask my kids, why didn't you tell me about it? Then my kids would say, Mom, we know you. We know this family, this ain't happening. So at least they would know clearly that this is not what can happen, that you can do, but these are some of the things to do. So I try and balance between being quite strict, but also not being unreasonable about it, because I would like them to be able, like I would tell them, I won't let you go to the disco, but I'll bring the disco home.
Oh, really? So how do you do that?
You just have a DJ and then they can dance and you're there with them, so they still have what other kids have.
At disco, I think it's a different experience from home. So you bring in the DJ.
But I explain to them that they tell me all our friends go out partying, and I said, you're not 18, you're not going out partying.
Okay.
And your friends are not my children. So it's very clear. So I think when you set the rules, they get to know, and kids actually like boundaries.
Yes, yes.
Sometimes they challenge you to see how far it can go, but they do put that boundaries. My husband is a little, he's a little much more strict than me.
Really?
So sort of, I'm the balance. I'm the strict and a bit of whatever. But my husband is very clear. And sometimes they say, okay, we need to talk to Pops about this.
Okay.
So
right.
I think the mixture of it does a bit of good. Yeah.
We'll come to a conversation about your husband, because also that is also one of the questions that I've seen really strongly.
Are we allowed to talk about him here?
Well, I don't know, just a bit. I love my job, so I'm not going to push it too far. But how is it parenting, in the 21st century, like right now? I mean, just a few days ago, and I know you watched the story of these kids who, rented a house and they were there doing all manner of evil things. I mean, how hard is it, and how can parents ensure that their children do not, go a certain direction?
No, I think it's a much more challenging time to be a parent at this time. I think we were much easier kids to raise.
Definitely, because there are no discos.
Yes, and also they are today the kids are so exposed and know everything. But I think if you teach your children the right values, and you tell them this is what is acceptable and not acceptable, and this is what is wrong or right, and that's why you must keep an open communication with them, because when you do that, then you are able to know what's happening. So, for example, for me, I keep on saying, how would you not know your kids are at a certain house? I mean, you should be able to account for your children 24 hours a day, and know exactly where they are. I mean, my kids know that they can't go to someone's house if I don't know the parents, and if I've never been there. So if they want, I'll have to create a relationship with the parents first, and then I can begin to know who those parents are. And if I don't know the parents, I said, they can come to our house, but you're not going to their house because I do not know their parents. Sometimes I have to tell them, we don't share the same values as that family, so you can't be with them.
And
so I mean, it's and they understand.
Right. Okay, coming to you now as a wife. Of course, some of the women who we see out there, very, very outspoken, and very self-assured, and going after a certain cause. It's very hard for us for the public really, to compare that woman and a woman at home, being a wife, cooking, cleaning. Do you do all those things?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, exactly, I do.
Like the proper, you know...
No, like right now, because I'm not too busy,
yeah.
I actually don't keep a cook anymore, so I do all the cooking.
Really? Yeah. Breakfast, lunch, dinner?
Yes. Okay, I'm clever than that. I can make for the whole day, then I can do other things in between.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
That's
so I mean, I do the same things as every other mom when you're at home. And things are quite different there. And I think, but I've also been lucky that, you know, even when I had a very high pressure job and very busy, I have a very supportive husband, extremely supportive.
Right.
I mean, in fact, my friends used to make a joke. They said the best career move you ever made is marry Sam Shollei.
And talking about Sam Shollei, who happens to be the CEO of Standard Group, how did you guys meet? I know that at some point in your life, you were supposed to go to a university. Where was that?
Cape Town.
No. Before Cape Town. You're supposed to go, exactly, Cornell University. But he asked you not to go there.
Yes.
And to go to a university in South Africa because he was working there.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so talk to us about how you guys met and, you know, you making that decision, him making that decision for you.
Yeah. No, I met him when I just joined university. And we met him through a friend, actually someone who's related to me, but was in the same class as him.
Right.
Yeah, because he was much, I think he had completed university by the time I was joining university.
Okay.
So through that mutual friend we met, and then when he heard that I was joining university, then he came to visit, and that's how it all started.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
And then that was in you got married in 1994.
We got married in 1994.
All right.
And we met in 1988.
All right. So that's,
begin 89.
All right. So the time that, you know, you were the chief registrar, and of course he was the CEO here at Standard Group, were there times that, you know, would you seek for advice? Because we saw him really come out strongly to, you know, advise you, and sometimes he would come out and even do, you know, go ahead and have press briefings. How was it? And is it something that has always been there in your marriage, in your relationship?
Yes, yes, exactly. I mean, everything I do, I usually run down by him. And he's been a great support base for me, and it's been, especially now, it's been very great, because I don't think I'd be able to survive this. But I mean, I remember when I was in IEC, when we were announcing the elections, he was there.
Okay.
He was at Bomas waiting for us to see.
Yes.
And he'd panic and say, the results are not coming through. Is there a problem?
Yes.
So he'd always be out there
somewhere
with the rest of the Wananchi,
Right.
but he'd be worrying and sending texts, are you fine? Is everything working well? And so I think it's great, and everybody needs that support base. It may be a spouse, it could be a sister, it could be a friend. Yeah, because you always need someone that you can bounce ideas on, or even just say, I'm afraid, I don't know if this is going to work. I was scared when I worked at IEC because I wasn't sure that it was going to, that a referendum was going to be successful, because I'd never done that before. But just, you know, being able to tell someone, I'm afraid, I wonder if it's going to fail, or, you know, or I wonder if the presidential inauguration is going to go okay, you know, things like that. So, and I was terrified that we'd run out of time, and he'd say, just keep looking at your watch, you know, and things like that. So I think it's a
good
thing. Yes, yes.
All right. So did you ask him for advice when you're coming here to do the news as a guest anchor?
No.
Did he give you any hints on how to go about it?
No, that he doesn't.
Okay, fine. So, okay, I'll do it for him today. So join me at the news desk as you try your hand. You know, maybe this could be one of the things that you might do, you know, part-time jobs, apart from being a mommy and a wife.
I think I'd make a terrible news anchor.
No, let's see how it goes. Have a seat.
Plus the chair is too high, I think.
And I love your boots. You should tell me where you bought them. Maybe.
Oopsie.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that like that?
Okay, fine. So
I hope I don't fall off.
No, you won't. I'm here to catch you. I will, but you'll be fine. So there you go. So first you introduce yourself and you take it away.
Yes.
And have as much fun as you can.
Okay.
Yeah?
Let me know when I should start.
Start now.
Okay. Good evening, viewers. I'm Gladys Boss Shollei and your news anchor today. A Class 6 pupil at Kapkironj Primary School in Wasingishu County has mesmerized both the young and old in equal measure. With his ability to repair motorcycles, Elvis Kosgei brings us the story of this 13-year-old Kelvin Kiprotich.
Fundi wa pikipiki is what Kelvin Kiprotich earned 4 years ago among his classmates. A calm, confident 13-year-old boy may just pass as an ordinary boy, but Kiprotich is not your typical village boy.
The aim and the graduate were They talk about the weather and they help each other out when something went wrong. The aunt was always peaceful.
The Class 6 pupil at Kipkorion Primary School, Uasin Gishu County, is described as a bright boy with mathematics being his favorite subject.
7.
Kiprotich has cut a niche above other pupils. Other than being a mechanic, Kiprotich is among top 4 students in his class. To his teachers, Kiprotich is not only a bright student, but also excels in co-curricular activities. To other students, Kiprotich is the best footballer in Kipkorion Primary School.
He's not absent in school, na tena hii kijana achelewi, anakuja mapema na huwezi pata yeye na makosa.
Katika masomo, kwanza katika kasi ya darasa, anakuwa kijana mzuri sana. Hakuna siku nitatoka kabla sijamwambia asome.
As the bell goes at his school, this to Kiprotich is just but a beginning of another hustle. Flax Trading Center is where Kiprotich honed his skills since entering class 3. From engine service, wiring, fabrication and faulty diagnosis, Kiprotich has mastered all without any formal training.
Unajua sasa tunasoma tutafuta pesa mbele huko, lakini kijana sasa naona kuna talenta yake peke yake.
Pesa haiwezi kanifanya niwache shule. Pesa haiwezi kanifanya nifanye shule. Bora tu mimi najua kutengeneza.
Sasa ndio tegemeo kwetu kwa panda wiring na kwa kuosha vitu za engine sehemu zingine. Sisi hatuko tunafanya engine, lakini vile alikuja ndio tukaanza tukajifunza mpaka tunafanya engine pamoja.
But just how did he acquire the mechanic skills?
Mimi niliona tu nikitumwa kwa duka napita mahali wanatengeneza pikipiki alafu nikachua kutengeneza. Hakuna mwenye alinifunza, kuna mwenye tulikuwa naye.
The 2 mechanics working here describe him as a smart motorcycle mechanic.
Kwanza mimi nilikuwa naogopa hii kijana anitengeneze motorbike. Kwa sababu huyu kijana nilikuwa naona kama mdogo anaendesha na kuuliza kijana unaweza tengeneza, anasema ndio. Nilikuwa bado naogopa Lakini vile alikuja kutengeneza siku moja kawa sawa. Na nikakupale kuanzia 2008 mpaka wa leo anatengeneza motorbike yake. Kuna mtu mwingine flaxi.
Mara nyingi nimeongea na yeye, nikamwambia mambo ya part time job sitaki. Lakini nimeona haijaiathiri kazi yake ya darasa. Na nimeona maybe kwa future maisha yake inaweza kuwa maybe ni engineering.
Ningependa tu kutengeneza pikipiki alafu ni tupeka ni tumonge tuikujanga inchi ingine, iende inchi ingine. Nitengenezanga mpya.
He dreams to become an automobile engineer when he completes his studies. Elvis Kosgei, KTN News, in Uasin Gishu County.
Gifted hands for sure. Well, what do you think about Kelvin?
Amazing. I'm going to look for him. I'll find him in the next 2 days for sure.
Good.
That's
okay.
my county.
Okay. Oh, that's your county.
Yes.
Is that the potential
yes,
county?
Amazing.
Okay. So I think you did really, really well.
I hope so.
I don't know what to give you. You know, if I give you a 9 out of 10, I think I think that's fine.
Oh, 9 out of 10.
I think you did really well. No, have a seat.
I'm not done yet.
No, we're not done yet. Okay. All right. So please tell us how you rate Gladys, and of course we'll be taking a look at that. But from what I'm seeing, very positive comments coming. So let's see how they just rate you in regards to your reading style. But I think I don't know, with a bit of polishing, you can do it. All right. So now we take a short commercial break. Thank you so much for staying with Friday Briefing. Sports and business coming up shortly, but also remember that Willis the Word Master is coming back shortly. Do you know we say onion and not onion?
Oh, okay.
Onion,
yes. Sometimes I listen to him and learn a few things.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. All right, so let's take that break. We'll be coming back shortly. Right, so it's time for us to take a look at business. And today the curtains came down at the World Economic Forum on Africa in Kigali, Rwanda. The forum that brought together leaders from around Africa and beyond, focused to transforming Africa by capitalizing on the youth, agriculture and digitization. Eugene Anangwe captured the highlights in Kigali, Rwanda.
interesting panel discussion on the fourth industrial revolution and how African countries can take advantage of the technological advancements and also deal with the possible impact of this revolution. Listen in.
We cannot talk about intra-Africa trade if we do not have intra-Africa connectivity.
Agriculture is not a way of life. It's not a social sector. It's not a giveaway sector. Agriculture is a business. And we must understand it's a business that works for the large, for the medium, and for the small. And so this whole notion that agriculture should be treated as a development program which will bury it, it really makes absolutely no sense.
Access is also to do with infrastructure. So we are looking at investments in infrastructure.
At the African Development Bank, and also with a lot of the African presidents that are here, we've made a decision that Africa is tired of being in the dark. And therefore, we need to accelerate universal access to electricity within 10 years.
The World Economic Forum comes to an end with the hope that participants will leave this place more rejuvenated and, of course, united, ready to take their economies and change the lives of their citizens to the next level using technology. For KTN News in Kigali, Rwanda, with the use of one of the technological advancements, a selfie stick and my phone, I'm Eugene Anangwe reporting.
There you had it. Now, the government is rehabilitating and upgrading roads at county levels to ease transportation of goods and services from the counties. An extra 4 road projects estimated at 4.2 billion shillings were flagged off by Cabinet Secretary James Macharia, geared towards boosting agriculture, tourism, trade, and other economic activities and propel Kenya into African powerhouse. Now, the 80-kilometer project has been undertaken by H&N Young contractors and will be supervised by Kenya Rural Roads Authority.
Each road takes about 2 to 3 years. So we anticipate that 2016, 17, by 2018, we have completed at least 4,000 kilometers. Yes, cost per kilometer is between 30 to about 40,000. So if you calculate the kind of projection we have, it's about 150 billion.
Jomo Kenyatta International Airport has attained key international aviation standards with operationalization. I'll have to ask Willis about that, of the state-of-the-art Terminal 1A and 1E. Now, the new Terminal 1A and 1E represent, I beg your pardon, the new terminals have a capacity of 2.5 million passengers annually, dedicated to SkyTeam partners, while IE, the International Arrivals Terminal, with capacity of 2.5 million, paves way for parking garage to be converted to its original use. The Kenya Electricity Transmission Company, KETRACO, with concessional funding from the Spanish government, and the government is constructing a double-circuit 428-kilometer transmission line to deliver the Lake Turkana wind power electricity along the power, with power from other future plants, to the national grid. KTN's Joy Dorimbira spoke to Carlo Van, the director of the Lake Turkana wind project, on the progress made so far.
We stand today in early May 2016, so just over 15 months of construction period. The project is already erecting turbines. There are, as I speak today, 37 turbines that are completely erected on the project out of the 365. Right. We are erecting 1 turbine a day right now. And we have over 85 turbines already in the country. We receive on a monthly basis 30 turbines In Mombasa, there is a shipload arriving every month, and this will carry on until March next year, and by early May of 2017, we expect to have full commissioning of the plant.
All right, so that's it for business. Let's now take a look at some of those troublesome English words and Mind Your Language with Willis the Word Master.
Just like to release the results, release, not release. But remember we say, please, please, can I do this?
Yes.
Can you do this for me, please? Yes. But in lease, that S takes the voiceless sound, so lease, lease.
Okay, got it. Moving on to another one, Willis. Now this one, I mean, it makes a lot of sense today. I don't know if you watched that video of that Bungoma man, James Bond from Bungoma, you know, hanging onto the helicopter. Probably he should have had a parachute or parachute. That's another one that I'm also not very sure about.
Betty, this word, many people say parachute. Locally, you'll hear of parachute, you know, more often. But what happens in that word, we have the C and H. Those two letters combine to form the sound sh. So two letters combining to form one sound, we always talk of a digraph. So the digraph C and H form the sound sh. So we say parachute. Parachute. Okay. That would be a surprise.
Yes,
but
actually.
That is exactly the way we should pronounce that word. Parachute, not parachute.
Not parachute. Okay, moving on to another word. Let me spell this one out again. M-O-R-T-U-A-R-Y. How do we go about that one? We've had this word especially a lot this week. Talk to us about it.
Casually or locally, you'll hear of mortuary. Mortuary. I'm going to the mortuary. But that tuary is not there, Betty. What we have is chari, or in the American English, you may hear somebody talking of mortuary, but it's normally mortuary. Mortuary. The mortuary, not mortuary, not mortuary, which I can also, you know, you can hear in the Australian or the American English. So to answer your question, Betty, we say mortuary.
All right. Okay, looking at my tweets, there's been so many people asking me about this word, tyranny of numbers or tyranny of numbers. We are going into the election period, and I'm sure election, not election, election, right? And I'm sure we'll be hearing about a lot on this word. Talk to us about it.
I beg your pardon, Betty?
Right. Will you talk to us about this word tyranny of numbers or tyranny of numbers? I've seen quite a number of tweets coming in through asking about that word specifically.
That is a word that we have really, you know, focused on, I would say several times. But there is no harm. With knowledge, we can repeat some of these words. Now, when we talk of tyranny. Locally, many people say tyranny with that diphthong, that is the glide. That vowel glide is not there. You say T, not tie, tyranny. But the person is a tyrant. When you talk of a person, you say so and so is a tyrant. But tyranny of numbers, tyrannical, tyrannize, not tyrannize, not tyrannical, not, you know, we have to distinguish when we use the diphthong and when we don't use the diphthong. So for tyranny, don't say tyranny.
Got it, Willis, just like a teacher. All right, moving on, the last one before we get to our feedback question. You hear so many people saying system, or, you know, instead of system, or is it supposed to be system?
I'm not getting the word. We have some, you know, technical problem there, but can I get you right, Betty? Can you come up again?
Yes. Willis, do we say system or system?
Oh, I now get you, Betty. That word has two acceptable pronunciations, Betty. That is what we call now the alternative pronunciations. You can say system, team, or tem, but that tem should have what we call a sure. The weak vowel sound system, but you can also say system. So the two pronunciations are acceptable, just like I talked about dilemma and dilemma. I also talked about finance and finance. So alternatives in that case.
Okay, interesting. That's a surprise that you could say system. Okay, Willis, apart from that, do you have any surprise word for Friday briefing tonight?
But we've really struggled because of that cutoff, but you know, technical problems have to be understood. Anyhow, I have the word here from the public request. Now, somebody said, we always talk of deaf. Deaf, when we see D-O-U-G-H. Many people say deaf. Then I asked the question, then do we say deaf nut? Then everybody, you know, burst into laughter. Anyway, the word that I have tonight, Betty, is dough. Dough. The dough. Then from dough, we come to the donut. Donut. I will also, you know, present or, you know, have my flashcard here for you. We talk of donut. Donut, not duff nut. So the surprise word for tonight is dough, and we have donut. And when I come to confusing words, this may also be a very big surprise to many people. Many people talk of the sword, sword, when they are referring to the weapon, which is wrong. Sword, that is S-W-O-R-D, is not, and I repeat, is not sword. That W is silent. You say a sword. He threatened so and so, or threatened so and so using a sword. Sword, that is the lower word. Sword, not a sword. When we talk of an area of grass, an area of grass, we now say sword. That is the upper word, S-W-A-R-D, sword. But weapon, a sword. Sword. That now brings me to the end of all that I had in mind for tonight, Betty.
Right. Thank you so much, Willis, the word master. Always a pleasure having you on the show, telling us and teaching us those difficult and sometimes confusing English words. I like that surprise word, sword, and not sword. Willis, the word master there, joining us from Kisumu County with those difficult words like sword and not sword. Sword. Right, that has been Mind Your Language. Coming up shortly now is Moses Wahisi with the sports news.
To matters, ladies, now, Wesley Korir, the Cherangani Member of Parliament, who is also a Kenyan marathoner, has weighed in on the wider debate and calling the government to sort out this issue so as to ensure that Team Kenya goes to the Rio Olympics this year. This comes with the Deputy President, William Ruto, saying that the government is doing all that they have to do so as to sort out this mess.
Swali ambayo tungependa kuuliza ni kwamba nini ilifanyika ndio hatukuwa compliant. Utusaidie na Uhuru Kenyatta mtusaidie ili wakimbiaji wetu, watoto wetu waweze kupata riziki ya kutosha kwa maana tuko na watu wengi.
If now we are not compliant, it really means a lot for our image and the respect that we've been having as now and will go down. It is coming at the wrong time when we are going for the Olympics, but we hope we will get out of this strongly.
The government of Kenya is going to ensure that whatever the issues that have been raised by the World Anti-Doping Agency, we are going to make sure that we sort out those issues.
We just hope that this issue is going to be sorted out and Kenya is going to take part in Rio Olympics this year. But to matters of the Kenya Premier League, where this weekend you're going to have different matches and different teams will just be trying to bag maximum points in their ties. And very, very impressive Moroni Youth is going to be playing FC Leopards. And in that tie, Wycliffe Onchomo is expected to be on his goal-scoring form. And also Posta Rangers will be playing Chemil Sugar. Sony Sugar is going to be going up against Thika United, while league leaders Tusker FC, who are currently even leading on the goal-scoring form with 18 goals, are going to be going all up against Sofapaka, a side that has conceded 17 goals so far. So another tie that is scheduled for the weekend is Gor Mahia is going to be up against Western Stima in a tie that is scheduled for Sunday. So we just wait and see which teams are going to impress in matters Kenya Premier League.
Mimi ni Victor.
Right, so they say that good things, sometimes, most times have to come to an end. And we're just about to wrap up Friday briefing. Thank you so much for watching. Always a pleasure having your company. Of course, Gladys Boss. Everybody seems to like that name.
I like it too.
I'm sure you like it too. But as we wind up your parting shots about, some of the things that you're passionate about as we wind up. Yeah.
Yes, and because it's way past my bedtime.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I think one of the most important things that's happening now is the issues related to the gender bill and also the unemployment with the youth. And I do hope that I'll be spending more time doing that and also lobbying more men to be able to vote the bill in. So, so I'm going to be working with all the other organizations concerned, mostly the Green Amendment bill, group, and hopefully I can be able to help on that. Yeah.
Is all hope lost for the gender bill?
No, no. I think you should never lose hope with anything. No, I think they stand a good chance to be able to bring it back in some form, renegotiate, like step back, compromise some issues, but I think it's going to happen.
All right.
It is going to happen.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Gladys.
Thank you for having me.
It's been so great having you.
Thank you.
And of course, thank you so much for your tweets. There's been so much positive feedback online. Thank you so much for, watching. Well, we wind up Friday briefing today, the 13th day of May. Do stay safe. Don't drink and drive. My name is Betty Kialo, and see you again next Friday, God willing. And you are? And you are? And say good night.
Yeah, good night, viewers. And I'm Gladys Boss Shollei.
All right, goodbye, bye-bye.
You have to tell me what to do.
I'm sorry. No, you're good. Don't worry. Thank you so much for watching. Wow, that was good.